The Nevada desert is so dark at night that the stars feel like physical pressure. This is the home of the facility the world calls Area 51. The official explanation for this base is a lie, a thin layer of military bureaucracy covering a presence that was here long before the first airstrip was paved. The government officially named the road leading here the Extraterrestrial Highway, a joke designed to make you laugh at what you should actually fear. The locals know the real boundary is defined by these signs, which authorize deadly force. Security teams in unmarked trucks patrol this perimeter around the clock, watching for any intrusion. But these guards aren't just looking for trespassers. They are monitoring a terrifying reality experienced by 3 unconnected witnesses: a security contractor, an amateur astronomer, and a local farmer, who all saw the same impossible things at exactly 3 a.m. Ray Columbus is an ex-Air Force security contractor. He spent 4 years working at a telecommunications relay station 11 miles from the restricted boundary, surrounded by the crushing silence of the high desert. In October 2019, at 2:47 a.m., Ray spotted a single white light. It hovered 200 feet above the desert, stationary and silent, before beginning a slow lateral patrol parallel to the facility boundary. Directly below the light, a dark shape moved through the scrub brush in perfect synchronization. It glided without a sound, like the light was its leash. The shape paused and turned its head toward Ray. He felt the specific primal shock of being looked at by something that had been monitoring him long before he realized he wasn't alone. The next morning, Ray found 11 circular impressions pressed deep into the alkaline dust, arranged in a deliberate geometric pattern. When he checked his phone, every photograph he'd taken of the encounter had been wiped. Standard surveillance drones don't leave geometric tracks in the dirt or watch observers with that kind of calculated intent. This perimeter is being patrolled by a biological, highly aware entity. Linnea Park is an avid amateur astronomer. In August 2020, she made the grueling night hike up Tikaboo Peak, the only place where the public can peer directly into the Groom Lake facility. At 2:50 a.m., the air around her tent turned unnaturally cold. Then came the smell, the scent of wet river mud and ozone, an impossibility in the middle of a dry Nevada summer. She reached the summit and watched 3 silent lights rise vertically from the base, holding a perfectly equilateral triangle formation for 6 minutes before extinguishing simultaneously. As she stood in the silence of the peak, she heard breathing right behind her. Rhythmic, heavy breaths, sounding human but belonging to something standing perfectly still in the pitch black. Her camera suddenly activated on its own. The motor drive fired blindly into the darkness behind her, taking frame after frame of the empty mountain. The 7th frame finally captured the intruder. A pale hand with long fingers and an extra joint was pressed flat against a rock, caught in the act of bracing itself while peering at her. This entity operates far beyond the military fence. It tracked her up a mountain, watching the person who came to watch the base. Elias Voss is a 3rd-generation local living in Rachel, Nevada. His property is 12 miles from the boundary, but his family avoids the eastern quarter. In October 2020, a severe drought cracked open a creek bed, revealing a hidden underground void. Elias found it by following that same impossible smell, wet mud and ozone pouring from the earth. He descended into a room-sized cavity where the stone floor was worn entirely smooth by ancient passage. On the walls were deep impressions of tall, narrow torsos and arms that hung far below the human hip. On the floor, he found 41 metallic pieces made of an unknown alloy. They were arranged with geometric precision, forming a layout that Elias recognized with sudden, absolute dread. The objects formed a perfect topographic map of Elias's farm, his house, his outbuildings, and his well. Something had been living beneath his feet, mapping his life from the dark. This presence has been here for generations, occupying the ground deep beneath the residence and recording every single detail of their existence with incredible patience. In the days following his discovery, Elias walked into the eastern desert at 3 a.m. to face the hovering white light over his property. The temperature dropped until his breath showed in the air. The silhouette unfolded from the ground, rising over 8 feet tall. It bore the same long jointed hands caught in Linnea's photograph. Elias asked the entity what it wanted. In response, a single concept was placed directly into his mind: patience. 3 witnesses across different years recorded the same 3 a.m. window. They all felt the same cold, smelled the same wet mud, and saw those same elongated, jointed hands. This satellite view of Groom Lake shows infrastructure the public assumes keeps secrets in. But looking at the scale, the restricted zone is actually a negotiated quarantine, a buffer designed to keep a specific distance between the entity and the world. We are not the jailers of this facility. We are merely maintaining a respectful distance so the entity has no reason to leave. Elias Voss warns that the boundary must be respected. Human militaries cannot counter a presence that has outlasted every civilization to ever cross this desert. The concept of patience communicated to Elias suggests a terrifying shelf life. It is waiting for humanity to stop being afraid of it. 8 months ago, Elias returned to the underground void and found a brand new impression in the stone, a human-sized silhouette sitting right next to the crack of daylight, watching the surface.
The entity is paying closer attention to us now. The boundary holds tonight. Check back at 3 a.m.